First day back at work. Relatively productive. To tell you the truth, the highs and lows of my day are related to if I'm adhering strictly to my planned diet or if I'm falling off, and if so, by how much. I pat myself on the back if I get an hour, 2 hours of concentrated work done. But my real priority and the thing that fills my mind during waking hours is the mission. And in that regard, the mission is going quite well. Yesterday I had a concern about protein farts. I posted about it on various social media platforms and had a friend reach out to me, and he asked me what I was eating. I told him that I usually start the day with a scoop of protein powder and oatmeal, add some bananas, and that's really been the way that I break my fast every morning for the past 2, maybe 3 weeks. And he clarified that that's my problem right there, is that I shouldn't be mixing starch with protein, and that it's not great for digestion. So instead, he recommended that I either start with oatmeal and then wait an hour or 2 to consume the protein, or vice versa. Me thinking about it, I would probably start with the carb and then consume the protein with water, and just keep it moving. And I suspect that would probably put an end to the protein farts. So that'll be great for my partner and anyone else who is around me. Honestly, to some extent I was enjoying it, but to another extent I was thinking, yeah, this is pretty bad. So I'm glad that that's probably resolved. Beyond that, I'm just killing it. I feel that I'm just in the zone right now, and it's just easy. When you get so close, it's a lot easier to make good decisions to just finish this goal off, at least for myself. With that being said, I'm still, take for example today, my planned diet is to come in at around 1,700 calories each day. However, and again, I guess this is a thing to talk about, is that even with the goal of hitting 5% body fat and getting shredded and aesthetically awesome, I'm still constantly looking for excuses or opportunities or justifications to depart from this calorie deficit, this restriction. It's because I don't really like being restricted in any aspect of my life. I don't like feeling I can't do something, especially if it's something that I want to do. And you think that I don't want to eat food? You think that I don't like eating cheesecake and donuts and ice cream and pizza and burgers? I love all of those things. They're great. It just so happens that if you eat those things consistently, day in and day out, in large quantities, you will not look the way that I want to look. And therein lies the rub. However, all things in moderation, and I am looking forward to getting to the point, specifically after I hit my 5% body fat goal, where I am able to incorporate cheat days in a routine fashion, either once every 2 weeks or, God forbid, once a week, a cheat meal. That sounds like heaven to me, and that's something that I will be exploring in the near future after achieving my 5%. That'll be the life. Until then, I'm trying to avoid cheat meals just in general. Even though today, for example, first off, let me start off with again, this is how my brain works. These are disclaimers. But myself and my roommate both purchased cardio machines for our home, literally arriving on the same exact day. Actually, his stationary bike arrived the day prior, and he spent the next day putting it together. And my under desk treadmill that you can place under a standing desk, which will allow you to work on your laptop or do whatever you want to do on a desk while walking on a treadmill. So that arrived the following day. So now we have a stationary bike that you can use for watching TV and pedaling, and we have a treadmill that you can use for working on your laptop and walking on the treadmill. And I have been using both of them. I've been using both of them for the past several days, and really jacked up my level of low intensity cardio throughout the day. And again, this is not necessarily an excuse, but I use it as an opportunity to like, all right, so for today, as an example, I'm at my place of work at the office, and there's some white chocolate pretzels just hanging out on the counter. And I look at them, I'm like, yo, I've been killing it in the low cardio game. No way are these 3 white chocolate pretzels going to upset my diet. No way is it going to diminish the results that I'm seeking. So I have a few. And then 3 turned into the whole bag. Now granted, the bag wasn't large. It was like, about the size of my fist. But, was it in the diet? No. Do I know how many calories I consumed in that bag of white chocolate covered pretzels? No. And this is the game that I play on a daily basis. What I've learned is that if I indulge a little bit, then I have the desire to indulge a lot of it. And that's where the devil pops up. So in this specific scenario, after I had the bag of white chocolate covered pretzels, now I'm thinking about what else is in the office, what else is in the vicinity. There happened to be a half of a whole cheesecake pie. I don't know if you call them that. Half of a cheesecake pie. I'm gonna stick with that. In the fridge, just hanging out from an office Christmas party that was, a week or so ago. Just hanging out in the fridge. No one's eating it. Just a whole half a cheesecake. Am I thinking about eating it now that I've had the white chocolate covered pretzels? And I'm thinking, well, I don't know how many calories the pretzels were, so why don't we just keep going? And that's how my brain works. It tries to justify actions once the actions are unjustifiable. It's kind of weird. And then the worse that it gets, the more I want to go further. So for this particular instance, I stopped at the white chocolate covered pretzels, probably, if I'm being completely honest, because I'm writing a fucking book called The Way of the Shred. And I'm 2 weeks away from doing a photo shoot and a commercial shoot. And I am 4-5 weeks away from hitting 5% body fat. I keep these factors in mind, and they allowed me to rein it in and prevent me from further indulging. However, if those factors weren't the case, if I wasn't writing this book right now, and if I wasn't as close as I was to hitting my ideal body composition or doing a photo shoot in 2 weeks, I would have gone off the deep end today. I know it. And that's just something that honest with myself about. So maybe that's just something to keep in mind for whoever else is on a specific fitness journey. When it comes to self-control, you have to come up with your own first identifiers. So for me, sugar is a thing that once I consume it, I want more of. Being on a calorie deficit is one thing, and I can finish a day at 1,600, 1,700 calories and feel satisfied, feel content, depending on the food that I consume as a part of that 1,700 calorie. The minute that, let's say I'm at 1,500 calories and I eat 4 cups of Reese's, and those 4 cups of Reese's totaled 240 calories, which I think is kind of accurate. I eat those 240 calories. Now I'm at 1740 so far as how many calories I've eaten for the day. However, instead of feeling satiated and satisfied, no, I want more. I want more of what I just experienced. It's not enough. So that's something I understand about myself. The reason I had the white chocolate covered pretzels, even though I knew full well that it opened up a Pandora's box of desire and impulse that is difficult to control, is the justification that I have been killing it in the low intensity cardio world or realm for the past several days. And I have been. I've been spending hours on the treadmill and hours on the stationary bike for the past several days. So in my mind, I see these pretzels that are just up for grabs. I know what they taste like. I can taste them in my head. And I tell myself, I am permitted to eat those pretzels because I know that when I finish this workday, I'll be going home to be doing more cardio. So these pretzels aren't going to disrupt the process. And that's what I told myself. That was my justification. And then I proceeded to eat the pretzels. It could have been a lot worse if not for the reasons or the factors that I already listed. So like I said, having a level of self-awareness as to what your pitfalls are is, I'm not going to say step one, but it's definitely a step. Knowing your weaknesses. For me, I have a sweet tooth. And as a result of that sweet tooth, once the sweet tooth gets even just a little indulged, then it becomes almost uncontrollable. Today it was controllable, but normally it's not controllable. In fact, on the drive home from work, after I completed a high intensity leg workout, I get my last meal of the day, which was chicken, ribeye steak, and rice with some veggies, which granted is kind of a weird mix, but it gets the job done. But as I'm driving home from that meal, having completed my workouts, my nutrition, I'm already in slight surplus based off of the white chocolate covered pretzels that I was not able to calculate and enter into my calorie tracker. Even though I probably could have found some substitute that would have created something of an estimate, I didn't. But yeah, as I'm driving home, I'm thinking, yo, you've already started. Just get some freaking donuts, man. You can fast tomorrow. That's another justification for overeating. Is that like, oh, well, if you go off the deep end and if you have 4,000 or 5,000 calories today, then you can just make up for it tomorrow by fasting. And I hate that cycle. I can't overemphasize how much I hate that cycle. That was my cycle of last year, 2022. I'm in a new year right now. Let's just stop. I'm done. I'm done with that cycle. It was uncontrollable. I didn't feel like I was making the decisions. And so it wasn't freaking cool. If I was calling the shots of my own decisions and my own impulses, I think it'd be something that I would even promote. In fact, it's something that I want to explore in the future where, I want to be able to say, this upcoming Friday, I'm going to eat 5,000 calories. And then I'm going to fast for 36 hours directly afterwards. Because fasting is effective in a way to negate the effects of overeating on one day. It's extremely effective. However, I don't want to do that to counterbalance a lack of impulse control. So, knowing your pitfalls, knowing your weaknesses, and then coming up with strategies to avoid falling into those routine habits that take you further away from your goal. I'm not perfect at this. I have fallen so many freaking times. I have allowed myself to succumb to my desires for sweets, for overeating. Yet I look the way that I do because I'm knowledgeable and I practice consistency on a regular enough basis. So that when the days where I do fall or fail and I eat more than I know that I'm supposed to, I'm able to make up for it. I still have to one day of falling off the wagon. Granted, this is just a rough idea, but one day of overeating, it's like a week-long setback. When it comes to this level, such a low body fat, I'm probably at 9, maybe 8. So if I were to have an overeating binge today, and we already know that the goal is 5, what does that do? How far does that push me back? So it's just not worth it. Now, granted, if I didn't have that goal, essentially I could do that whenever I wanted to. If I spaced it out often enough where, like I said, every week, if I were to just have an overeating day and then do a fast directly after, nobody would tell the difference. I would look pretty much the same. And that is the future that I see for myself. It's going to be beautiful. Another thing that I want to talk about is strategizing not only your pitfalls, but for opportunities that you see in the future, or situations or scenarios that you know that you will find yourself in. The great example for this is this time next week, I'll be on the East Coast visiting my family with my partner, Christina. We're going to be seeing my mother and father in their respective homes. Now, as with any normal person who travels, especially when they're on quote-unquote vacation, seeing their old family and friends and things of that nature, even just for me, when I go to an airport, I have a desire to eat food in an airport. I don't know why. Ever since I've had a job that pays me money to that I don't have to think about, like, oh, how much does this cost? How much does that cost? I don't have to consider how much food costs with the amount of money that I make. And ever since that's happened, which has occurred for like the past 5 years, I don't know. Whenever I go to an airport, I just want to eat food at an airport. I don't know what the association is with that desire, but it's something that is in me. So I'm mentioning this to say that I am already mentally preparing myself for that airport experience, for that trip, when I am interacting with my mother and father and friends from back home who want to be festive. And a way of being festive is to go out and eat food and do all that normal shit. The shit that I like to do. But by visualizing the experience and imagining myself how I'm going to interact with them, how I'm going to maneuver around those scenarios in a way that's conducive to my goals, allows me to execute that intention more smoothly and efficiently when I actually get there. As opposed to, and again, perhaps there are people that exist with much stronger wills than I myself have, and they don't have to do this visualization exercise. They can just say, I'm not going to overeat when I go visit my mom and dad. I don't need to overeat. I'm just going to eat salad. Or I'm going to, stick with my strict diet. Sure, yeah, if that works for you, do it. I have to visualize. I have to mentally prepare. I have to do a lot of premeditation to say no, because there is a battle in me that there's a rebel. There's a part of me that doesn't give a shit about my goals. I am not fully aligned because deep down, I know it doesn't fucking matter. Deep down, hitting the peak form of my body doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. My body wants to eat. My mind wants to create the iconic aesthetic physique. My body doesn't give a shit. However, teaching myself, teaching my body that it is my mind that is in charge and that my body doesn't get a say. That's the trick. One day I'll be able to call myself a master. That trumps 5%. That trumps iconic aesthetic physique. That trumps everything. One day I will be a master. And this will be my mastery.